Pop. Hey everybody, Mike here, June 29th, 2024. Thank God it's Saturday. Yes, indeed, thank God it's Saturday. Hey man, a lot of weird stuff's been happening to me the past, month or so. Going in for some back injections here pretty soon. I went to go see my pain doctor and MRIs and all that good stuff. So injections are going to start happening on the mid-back. So hopefully that'll get things situated for me in that department. About 2.5 weeks ago, I had probably one of the worst bouts of vertigo I've ever had. Had it in the past, but not this bad. It was so bad I thought I was having a stroke. I went to the emergency room. They assured me it was just vertigo. Came home, did the Epley maneuver about 3 times, which was a freaking nightmare when it feels like you're spinning and dropping about 2,000 feet. Did that about 3 times, and the following day did it a couple of more times, and then spent the next 10 days recuperating, dealing with what I consider to be like the vertigo hangover, which is just your brain trying to recalibrate back to normal from all the spinning. And it took about 10 days. It was a mess, but God, I hope I never go through that again, or I hope it's a very long time from now. And I started taking an extra supplement along with my D3 and magnesium called K2, which is supposedly supposed to help with those crystals that form within that inner ear inside your skull, which creates that vertigo, that imbalance that starts to happen. So we'll see what happens there. Today's little video are 5 things that I keep with me in my truck at all times. Somebody had asked me about this first little piece that I had when I was using it, so I figured, what the heck, I'm going to make a video about the 5 things that I always carry either on my person or in my truck at all times. The first is a Leatherman Micra, and probably about, I want to say maybe 24, 25, 26 years ago, I was working in a utility closet, electrical with phone, cable, all kinds of good stuff. And I was working on a board, and I dropped a tool behind a case, which is loaded with some heavy stuff. And it was a tool that I didn't want to lose, so I ended up moving everything off of that case and shelf and was able to slide it back to get my tool. And in the process, I found this Leatherman Micra, and it's been with me ever since. I use it all the time. This thing has been a really good lifesaver. You open it up and it's a pair of scissors, and on one side you have a nail file with a scraper, what would be a straight edge screwdriver, and then your knife. And on the other side is what would be like a mini screwdriver or something you could poke holes with, can opener, a shape for a Phillips screwdriver, and a pair of tweezers. And I cannot tell you how many times these tweezers pulled pieces of wood and metal, slivers of metal, out of my hands. But these things I use quite often. I use the big scissors to trim up my nails, and use the nail file to file them down. I really don't use nail clippers that much, that I have these around. Oh, speaking of finger, not sure if I showed you this. I was working at my buddy's shop, and we were working on, had a front end piece torn out, and we were replacing a bushing and some other stuff. Anyway, they were hammering. I was holding on to the unit. They were hammering something into it, and it slipped off, and the whole weight of everything landed on my finger. I thought I broke my finger, went to the hospital. It was so swollen. They ended up putting a hole in my nail to relieve the pressure, and then my nail is what, maybe 2/3 of the way up now, but I lost the whole nail, just completely lost the whole thing. And you'll notice that forehead right there. That sucker's got a forehead. That is real sensitive. I have not been able to play guitar, only with these fingers, right? But nothing with this, just because it's still so painful. But as a joke, I ended up, since it has a fingerprint in the front of that forehead, I learned it on my phone to unlock my phone with, just as a joke, and it worked. So I was learning my phone for a day with the very tip of my finger. Stupid, I know. I just out of boredom. The next thing that I keep with me is another mini tool like the Leatherman, which is, we all know what that is. It's a Swiss Army knife. The little mini. This thing is a little lifesaver as well. I keep both of these in my pockets at all times. A knife, nice little utility knife, which is good, nice and sharp. It's always sharp. I always keep it nice and sharp. And on that same side is like a mini screwdriver on top, but also a nail file, which I use religiously as well. And on the other side, if I want to do some fine tuning on my fingernails, are these little mini scissors. And these things are way accurate. Man, you can really get in there and get little tiny pieces, especially right at the very edge. So keeps your nails in good shape. But here's one of the main reasons that I use it. Well, I'll show you the first thing that I don't really use that much of it, but I use it every once in a while, is you can pull out the top a pair of tweezers. And they can, man, they'll watch just that little piece of skin right there. You just, things are just so tight and so accurate. But this is the lifesaver right here. Flip it around, and not the gray one, but the ivory colored one is a toothpick. And let me tell you, I don't know how many times I've been at a restaurant. God, I wish I would have picked up a toothpick. I didn't have any in my truck. That's what this is for. And you got a nice little toothpick right there. Clean it off, put it back in. I got a couple of extras. That alone is a lifesaver with that little tool. So those two little light guys stay in my pocket at all times. This guy is a Leatherman Charge. There's a very interesting story behind this one. I was on my way back from San Diego, and coming back over, I already went through Yuma, coming through Mohawk Valley, and I hit Dateland, and I had to take a piss so freaking bad, so bad. And I held it for as long as I could. And just to where I couldn't hold it any longer, I just pulled over to the side of the highway, opened up both of my doors so I had some privacy in between, whipped out Junior Johnson, and I was just getting ready to take a piss on the desert floor, and this Leatherman was sitting right at my feet, right directly square in front of my feet. So I aimed off to the right, did my business, picked this up, and there was absolutely no dust and dirt on it. It had to have been sitting there maybe 2 days, a day or two. There was no dust, no dirt on it, no nothing. You couldn't hear, just nothing in the joints at all. Somebody had probably lost it that day or the day before. Pulled over at that exact same spot, did some, and it wasn't a place where you could just pull over where it was meant to pull over. It was just a random place on the side of the highway that I pulled over on. Found this, and this thing has been a life-saving tool for the longest time, years and years and years. Needle nose pliers, it's got crimpers on the front, it's got these serrated areas for nice grip for pliers, and it's got wire cutters right there. And closing it on this side, you have a serrated knife along with a rope cutter, shoestring cutter, or a scaler and a gutter for a fish. And on the opposite side is a nice saw that I've used many times to go through 1 inch pieces, 1 inch and more of pieces of wood, cutting up for fire if I didn't have my my saw ready and handy with me. On the other side is a beautiful knife, always just ready to slice a piece of paper. Beautiful knife, and a file, a nail file on one side. Oh, you can see where I've already used it. A nail file on one side and a nice, very abrasive file on the other side for filing down metal or whatever you want to file down. When you open it up, we're going to have a Phillips screwdriver, which is reversible with a slot screwdriver, and then a bottle opener, can opener, and blade, mainly a can opener and bottle opener. And you can see that V shape right there, which is you can use for, I don't know, sharpening pencils, whatever you want to get done. And on the opposite side is a slot screwdriver, right? And come on, a mini Phillips screwdriver. You can see how tiny that is. Mini Phillips, and then if you pull it out and flip it around and stick it in, you got a mini standard. Small enough for your glasses screws is basically what that's set up for. And then last but not least, another pair of very, very sharp and accurate scissors. Very, very sharp. So this thing stays in my truck at all times. I've used it countless times when I'm camping, just everyday stuff. It's a very, very useful tool, and I'm glad I have this thing. I'm looking at some other Leathermans, but I've been so happy with this one, and it's been such a good luck charm that I don't need another Leatherman. I do not. What's this? Chapstick. Oh yeah, chapstick. When I was a kid, I used to get the worst chapped lips, and I would constantly lick them, They would get in such bad shape and infected, and I would stretch my lips and my lips would crack and bleed. And my dad introduced me to just use some chapstick. He told me about this, and I think I've had a chapstick in my pocket since I was, 12 years old, maybe younger. And I'm 64 now. Yep. So I always have I invest. You better believe it. I invest in this company as well. Last but not least, what stays with me in my truck when I'm driving, as soon as I get out of my truck, it's with me. It is my Sig Sauer P365 9mm. And this little beauty, look at how nice and tiny that is. Nice and tiny. Right in the palm of your hand. Holds 10 in the magazine. There's nothing inside. Nothing inside. Holds 10 in the magazine, staggered. And that's the reason I bought it. It was for its size, number one, and the fact that it held 10 staggered, one in the chamber if you want 11. But it's the Sig Sauer P365. This sucker is with me at all times. I have a magazine that holds 12, but the 10 is very, very comfortable for me. Love this guy. Love this thing so much. Those are the 5 things that I keep with me at all times, man. I can't live without them. If I were to lose anything, they get replaced right away. The only thing that gets replaced on a constant, steady basis is my chapstick, because I make it a point not to lose the other pieces that I value so much. That's it, man. Those are the things that I keep in my truck and with me at all times. They make me feel good. They make me feel comfortable, and they work. And as of course, I'm always going to end a video with a little bit of Jameson, and it is so hot. Yeah, Uncle Mike's going to cool it off with some ice. Oh, excuse me. What did I eat earlier? Oh, some chips, which I shouldn't have had. Oh, it's been so hot in Phoenix. I think it's 105, 106 today. So I'm going to cool this Jameson off with a little bit of ice. Hey, man, hope everybody has a very safe 4th of July. There's a lot of fireworks that are pretty illegal to shoot off in Phoenix, and usually by this time you're hearing them throughout the night before the 4th of July, and I've only heard them once. So either people can't afford to buy fireworks right now, or they're minding their P's and Q's with the laws that are passed about some fireworks being illegal. So cheers to everybody out there. Oh my God. Jameson is just the best. That's it. Yep, 5 things I keep with me at all times. Do you like utility knives? Do you use utility knives? Utility tools? Whatever. If you do, let me know what you use. Let me know what your favorites are. I think the only thing I may add to this might be a bigger Swiss Army that has a lot more. This little doogie is it for me, man. This thing, I love this little thing. But I might get a bigger one with more tools just to put next to the Leatherman to make my Leatherman jealous. That's it. Get some sun, get some exercise, be healthy, and I'll see you when I see you.